Okay, so you have a child and you teach them how to read, but you don't teach them how to think critically. When he grows up, he starts reading newspapers and magazines and other sorts of literature. But because you haven't taught him how to think critically, he just swallows whatever whopping lies that are written about persuasively in a newspaper. My point is that our kids need to know more than the 3 R's when we educate them. And I think a classical homeschool curriculum goes a long way to helping them do that. I'm going to talk about 7 popular classical homeschool curriculum, and then I'm going to tell you about one curriculum that is considered classical that I wouldn't use with my kids. So make sure you stick around till the end so I can tell you about that. So number 7 is My Father's World. I love this program. It is eclectic. Eclectic means it uses lots of different homeschool methods in the curriculum itself. For example, it doesn't just subscribe to the classical method, but My Father's World is predominantly classical and Charlotte Mason and unit studies, and of course it has a biblical worldview that is weaved throughout the whole curriculum. This is a very hands-on curriculum, so a lot of parents love it for that reason. Other parents find the crafts a little bit too much. This is what my sister-in-law found. She found it burnt herself out. But then I did have a comment on one of my videos the other day, and a lady said, well, we just don't do the crafts and we love the program and it doesn't burn us out that way because there's way too much in the curriculum. So this is a really popular curriculum, but it is eclectic. It's not like fully classical. Another thing to know about this curriculum is that it is mailable. That means you'll get a box to your door with all of the stuff in it, and there's not so much online stuff to do with your kids. This will tick a box for some people, and other people will say no way. And if they're saying no way, they might like number 6, which is a Well-Trained Mind Academy. The Well-Trained Mind Academy is supposed to be an extension to your homeschool studies, and it is supposed to come from a classical perspective. So with the Academy, you get live online instruction from teachers who are familiar with homeschooling, who are familiar with the classical education method, and who are familiar with teaching. In the Academy, the aim is to really leave children with the knowledge that they can go and teach themselves and pursue knowledge themselves thereafter. Essentially, it's to give children a love of learning, which I always say in my videos is one of the big things you want to foster in your children, a love of learning. That means they can go on and they can teach themselves entrepreneurial stuff. They can buy a book on business from the library and figure out how to do that themselves. They can figure out horticulture, vegetable gardening, whatever they want. They can learn it themselves. And that's the big idea. I love it, but it's not a comprehensive curriculum. It doesn't cover everything you get. It's more like a little bit more of a supplement. If you want a full curriculum, there is Classical Academic Press. Now, this is primarily the baby of Dr. Christopher Perrin, and he has some really wonderful lectures, knows a lot about classical education, and offers quite a rigorous approach to a classical education, going through the grammar stage, which is for your early primary school children, the logic or dialectic stage, which is for more your middle school children, and then obviously the rhetoric stage, which is for your high school age children. Perrin likes to say he's taking children from wonder to worship and wisdom. Where can you get this curriculum? Well, you can buy this curriculum from the Classical Academic Press website, or you can go to christianbooks.com. I've left a link below, and they often have it for special, so check it out. Now, I've left links to all of these curriculum in the description box below, so check it out if you're interested in any of them, or go and have a look at all of them so you can compare them for yourself. And I would really recommend you having a look at different ones, because obviously I'm not able to cover everything in this little video. I should also tell you that all the curriculum I'm talking about in this video today would be curriculum that I would be willing to use with my own children, would be excited about it. Okay, and then there is Classical Conversations. So you've probably heard about Classical Conversations, and it's got the title Classical in the heading. So this is, a lot of people describe it as a homeschool co-op version of classical education. Is this what it is? Well, no. Classical Conversations is not technically a homeschool co-op. It's not run privately. You actually need to have a license to make yourself into a Classical Conversations program. And in that way, it's a little bit of a chain. But the idea with this one is that homeschoolers can get together a few times a week and they can practice scholé, which is a little bit like mulling over the topic together. They can practice debating with one another. They can practice their argumentation skills together. They can practice persuasive talking to one another. And this is great. This sort of face-to-face interaction is fantastic, and it's pretty hard to mimic in another environment. Having said that, classical conversations is quite social, and I'm finding from a lot of the conversations I see online is that a lot of parents find it can be a little bit too rigid for them. Other parents really like that interaction and being there so often. So it just really depends on you and your family and what you like. Now, if you're loving this video, hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you on board. Now let's check out Compass Classroom. This one comes in as number 3, and it's one that I'm excited about. I actually learned their Latin program myself as an adult. I was homeschooled, and I find that my parents did a really good job of teaching me to love learning and of teaching me how to teach myself. And so I'm 34 and I'm still homeschooling myself and loving it. So I use their visual Latin course. It's taught by Dwayne Thomas. He's hilarious. And Latin is, it's considered an easy language to learn, but honestly, I'm old. I find it harder. And he puts humor in it, and for me that makes it easier to learn. And so he has online lessons, and the words flash up on the screen, and then you have PDFs that follow that. There's also, you can listen to audio recordings of different Latin things. It's just a really good multimedia way of learning. So this is just visual Latin, which is what Compass Classroom offers. They also offer all these different ones: ancient history, writing classes, film classes, everything, and everything is from a biblical perspective. I love particularly they have a series on modern day parables, something that I am very keen on, and I've watched the series a few times with my children and my husband, who also loves it. They're also pretty affordable because everything you get is online. They're online PDFs and obviously they're online lectures. Second place, we have MEMORIA Press. So these guys have been around for a long time. They offer a mailable curriculum. You can also do kind of an online learning setup with them, and they have award-winning Latin programs as well. They're quite true to the whole grammar, logic, and rhetoric way of doing things as well, and they have very much a focus of putting the great books into their curriculum, so children are learning all those old texts as well. My number 1 curriculum for you today is VERITAS Press. This curriculum has a really strong biblical worldview. I love this curriculum because it gives you different options. You can do online live learning where you have a teacher and you can interact with your peers in an online environment. But you can also do self-paced classes if that's more to the liking of your children. I was really struck when I was watching a sample of VERITAS Press, and the way they opened the lesson was to pray. And I thought that is beautiful that they are so invested in Christianity that they open their classes with prayer. Now, the great thing with VERITAS Press is you don't just need to jump into the curriculum and hope it works out. You can actually get a free VERITAS Press consultation with them and chat through if this really would be the right option for you, and talk about your children with another homeschool mum who's used VERITAS Press and knows all about it. If you want to do that, then there are details in the description box below. Now, I promised to tell you about a curriculum that I wouldn't use that is described as classical and lots of other things with my children, and that is the good and the beautiful. Now, this is a really popular curriculum, so why wouldn't I use it? That takes a lot of explaining, and I'll explain it in this video right here.